Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You'll get divorced. You'll get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the show where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter because, as you know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. We're here today with one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts talking about something that is completely essential and necessary during the divorce and beyond process, and something that a lot of people don't know exists. So, Maria, can you introduce yourself first?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Maria Natapov. I am the founder and owner of Synergistic Step Parenting. And really, my specialty is supporting parents to, when they're feeling like all they are doing is reacting instead of responding, to actually build the operational system that will allow them to respond and truly stay in their calm for themselves and their kids.
I love that. And you definitely need those tools for every single part of the divorce process and really for the rest of your life. So, first of all, I love what you do, and I recommend co-parenting coaches to anybody that is even considering divorce, in the process, post-divorce, because you don't know how to go from a married couple to co-parents. It's like nobody teaches you how to do that. So, can you enlighten us a little bit about what co-parenting coaching even is?
Yeah. So essentially, our patterns, the things that create conflict for our kids, and the number one predictor of how well kids weather through and beyond the divorce process is not the event itself. Separation, divorce, I use those interchangeably. I know they're not the same thing, but for the family, the experience very much feels that way as far as relationally speaking and emotionally speaking. And so it's actually the children's exposure to parental conflict specifically. And essentially, the more exposure, the higher degree of exposure, the longer the duration, the more severe the intensity, the less kids will gain the proper skills and coping mechanisms to weather that process successfully and come out on the other side with resiliency, with the skills they need to sustain themselves through challenging moments and to learn how to work with others and work through their own conflict. As we know, that's nothing we can escape in every single corner of our lives. So that's really what the work entails, is reducing conflict and creating structures that support us to live in our values and in our integrity. And because our kids feel that, they feel that steadiness when it's present. And it only takes one person, one parent, for them to have that stability.
Yeah, I get that question a lot from moms, especially. How can we keep things stable and grounded if I'm the only one that's kind of committed to this? So, you said a lot of things which are really important for divorce. And then can you also kind of extrapolate those things into what are some real life examples of where co-parenting and the work that you do really shows up?
Yeah. I think, a lot of parents that I work with or who come to me, they always think that things are going to get better once I'm just through this divorce. I just have to get through it. I just have to make it across the finish line. Or when the kids get older, right? Or when things settle. And the reality is, unfortunately, that that's just not really often how it works, because conflict is sustained by patterns, right? Not paperwork, not some sort of an arbitrary milestone, but it's really the patterns. And those patterns have already often existed for a long time for many of us. And so it's really about how are we going to be showing up differently that's going to make the difference for ourselves, for our kids, for the bond we have with our kids through that process, because that, of course, also gets disrupted many times. And yeah, that's really where the heart of the work lives.
Yeah. So you use a framework for this. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it's the BH2O framework. It's very comprehensive. There's a lot of structure. Yes, there is a full program aspect to it. Not everybody necessarily needs everything. But the good news is essentially all of this piece is built, right? We often think of it as some people are lucky enough to have it and others don't. Right? Or it feels often from inside of the experience like everything is happening on the outside. It's our co parent, it's the maybe attorneys or professionals, or it's the judges, or it's the system, or it's the circumstances. And while all of those things may be true and often are, we actually truly can, even in some of the worst circumstances and situations, create peace for ourselves. But it starts with those nuanced skills that we're often not taught. They're not even really often talked about. And like any muscles, right? Like going to the gym, we're not going to expect to be able to bench press 120 pounds if we've never stepped foot in a gym and we've never lifted any weights. We're going to build our way up to that, including results we want to see, right? We understand it's a journey. We have to show up consistently and go incrementally. And over time, we will see the effect and impact and what we're able to do. And this is no different. But these skills we're often never talking about, never really learning, never building these muscles. So that's the opportunity. And then, of course, there's the structure. Sometimes what our kids are actually needing, and including ourselves, almost feels counterintuitive to what is truly needed. And so that's where this nuanced, refined understanding and building a way to show up that truly is in alignment with ourselves and what we're claiming are our top priorities is what makes the difference. And again, it takes some skill building and some practice to do that.
Absolutely. So I guess a silly question is like, I could hear people listening to this and think, okay, that's a lot of work. Can I just do this on my own? I'll just be nice. I'll just be friendly, right?
Yeah.
Why does that not work, Maria?
Yeah, because you can be over carrying like many of us have been, are probably now. But the reality is it's not sustainable, right? Like a pressure cooker. So I'm a recovering people pleaser. And you know, I used to try to always anticipate needs and overdo and over carry. And the reality is I was exhausted. I was depleted. I burnt out. And just like a pressure cooker, without a release valve being activated, that pressure has nowhere to go. Eventually, it's going to end up in an explosion. And that explosion does a lot of harm, not only to ourselves, forget our central nervous system, it's doing a lot of harm to that. But even, because we're not showing up often in a way that we want to be. And our kids are experiencing a version of us we don't want to be. And so are our other important relationships. Oftentimes, our support network gets the brunt when we're going through something like this. So the point is, there is no shortcut, unfortunately. There is no way to circumvent it. And it doesn't live in just acquiring more information. It's really about building the practice, right? The day to day, what works for you in your life, what is accessible, and what's going to make the difference. Because ultimately, that's where the answer lives to this question is how can you build that piece, right? How can you be the architect of a way forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So by putting the work in, what is the long-term effect here? What's the long-term change that people could
Yeah.
see?
So people report that they don't stay awake replaying conversations anymore, right? They're no longer exhausted. They're no longer carrying and feeling responsible for everybody else's emotions, trying to micromanage everything and create outcomes for others. They really distinguish what is theirs, what is within their control, and what is not, and how to move forward, including setting boundaries without guilt, which which is a sometimes
Part.
strange concept for
Yeah.
many. Yes. And they truly stop putting their children in the middle without realizing. because almost always when parents are doing that, they don't realize they're doing it. They have no idea that's what's happening, or they would never do that. And that makes a huge difference in not only their children's experience, their relationship with their children, but how they get to experience themselves as a parent. And they truly create more calm for themselves, for their kids. There's just more peace and more ease and more space available to them.
Well, for anybody listening, I'm sure they're thinking, well, this sounds exactly what I want, right? This sounds like the life I was waiting for on the other side of this. So, what is a step that they can take towards this life, Maria?
Yeah. The good news is you don't have to know what kind of support you need. You can just come to a conversation. That's the good news. And who knows, maybe that conversation is all you need. Maybe you need one rapid resolution therapy session to stop the bleed, as I say. Maybe you need a short reset, or perhaps you need the full BH2O program. We can figure it out together on that call and during that conversation.
I love that. So, talk to us before we let you go a little bit about kind of getting in touch with you, what that consult call looks like. It's very overwhelming to do this reach out, right? And I've worked with you a long time. You're so kind and so gentle with people, but it's so scary, right? So, what does that look like for people when they reach out?
Yeah. So great question. And thank you for asking it. I would encourage you either DM me on LinkedIn or Facebook, or send me an email to maria@synergisticstepparenting.com, two P's. And just say, I'm interested in a call. I'll send you a link. You can book either a video call or a regular phone call, whatever you're comfortable with. And it's just a safe space to come and share and get off your chest what's been really hard, what's been feeling heavy, what you're hoping for. And we can just explore like what may be getting in the way, or where are you at right now and what feels doable. And we just figure out your one next best step. That's all you need to start moving forward. You don't need to have everything figured out. And it's just a safe, confidential place, judgment free, to explore. That's it. No strings.
No
No
strings.
expectations. Yes.
Amazing. And of course, you can always message us or email us, and we will connect you directly to Maria. And you can go check her out on freshstartsregistry.com/experts also. Maria, before we let you go, if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with today?
Yeah, I would say it's not, I know right now it might feel very tempting to feel like you have to win against your co parent. And a lot of the conversations you might be finding yourselves in may have that kind of flavor, if you will. But the truth is, it's not about winning. That's not what your child needs. And likely that's not what's going to create peace for you either. It just pulls you into kind of a war mindset where you're having to constantly strategize and feel on the attack or the defensive. Um, but I would encourage you to lean into, what kind of a parent do you want your child to remember? And what would it look like to be that parent, that version of yourself?
I love that. I love that. Well, as always, we appreciate you, Maria. Thank you for being here and for all of your wise words. If you are interested in working with Maria, please reach out to her or us. And obviously, her link will be in the show notes too. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation. I appreciate you.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.